Hello guys, I'm TheGamakazi, and welcome to my Let's Play of Dead Frontier Outbreak. This is just a game I found just recently, and I've decided to do a Let's Play. I've only played the first decision on it, and I thought it would be quite a good Let's Play, so I haven't got that far. Anyway, for those that don't know what this game is, it's basically a zombie survival adventure game, where it gives you a list of choices, and depending on what you choose, you may die, you may go further, or it might be a bad decision and somebody dies in some way. It's best for me to show you than explain, so let's get right into it.
It started as a normal day, just like any other. I took a shower and grabbed a quick cup of coffee before heading out of the front door and waving goodbye to my loving wife. I jumped on board the bus, sat down, turned on my MP3 player, and promptly entered my usual daydream state. I finally arrived at my office building, headed up the 10th floor, and sat down at my desk to see a huge pile of paperwork. I sighed and got started.
Okay, for those that don't know how I do this, whatever they're saying is more important than what I've got to say, so I normally just stay quiet during the cutscenes.
A scream coming from down the hall broke my concentration. I considered going to see what it was, but the thought quickly passed. Probably just another hysterical secretary overreacting to a spider. Just as I started getting back to work, something else grabbed my attention. I peered out the window into the street below, and to my astonishment, saw a scene of utter chaos. People fighting, even killing each other for seemingly no reason. By this time, some of my coworkers had gotten up from their desks and joined me in staring out the window.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this based on what I... Really? Go grab a cup of coffee? I'm gonna do this based on what I would do in this situation. So, there's people killing themselves outside. I would probably turn on... Like I said, I've done this before, and I picked this option because I would want to know.
The radio began blurting out all kinds of information. It said that a new breed of virus had been discovered, one that would change its victims into a homicidal maniac. This virus was highly contagious and spreading rapidly. Their advice was to stay where I was, and that if I were to encounter an infected person, I should try to destroy their brain.
Okay.
At this point, I felt myself entering a state of mild shock. It was obvious that whatever was going on was serious, and that a significant percentage of the population were going to be killed or wounded over the course of the next few days. My thoughts quickly turned to my wife. Was she okay? What if these maniacs were near our home?
Okay, so this is all new to me right now. So my options are to take out my cell phone and try to call her, don't call and just go home, or stay in the building, which is, as we know, is being surrounded by zombies right now. Because he just said there's zombies out the window. I'm gonna give her a call. If the radio works, this might work.
I dialed the number, but immediately got an error tone. I tried several more times before giving up. I was annoyed with myself for wasting time. I should have known the phones would be overwhelmed. I then decided that I would go home and make sure that my wife was okay.
Okay, so I messed up there. I should have just gone straight home, but I haven't died.
I began to make my way through a series of corridors that lead to the elevator. On my way, I noticed a struggle out of the corner of my eye. I turned to see a disfigured man frantically clawing at and biting a young woman's leg. Blood was already pouring from her multiple wounds. The woman cried out for me to help her.
Okay. She's bit... What, really? Call 911! Hold on! I will save you! Police? Yeah. There is a man biting a woman's leg? Can you get down here really quick? Okay. Yeah, you better turn yourself in when they get here in like 5 minutes. No, I'm not doing that. Try and find someone to help. She's been bit. It said it was highly contagious. She's a goner. I'm gonna leave. Sorry.
I continued down the hallway, ignoring the woman's cries for help. She would have been infected and it wasn't worth the risk.
Exactly my thoughts.
I arrived at the elevator, but to my dismay it seemed many other people had the same idea. I heard a ping and the elevator doors slid open. In a split second, the large crowd of office staff pushed and shoved their way into the tiny metal box.
Okay, wait for another elevator? No, that zombie that was killing the woman's probably right behind me. Take the stairs? I think I'll choose that. Squeeze into the elevator with the others. That might end up killing me? But maybe? And jump out the window. No, I doubt he's on the ground floor if you're taking it in an elevator. I'll take the stairs.
I quickly made my way down the stairs to the ground floor. Sure, I was a little out of breath, but at least I saved time and avoided a potentially lethal situation.
Oh, that was actually the best decision there.
I eventually reached the ground floor and entered the lobby. The scene in front of me was one of extreme violence. The security team was desperately battling with a swarm of infected, and they appeared to be losing. I watched helplessly as a guard on the opposite side of the room was torn limb from limb. I noticed his gun lying on the floor just a few meters away from his dismembered corpse.
Okay. I don't know how fast they recover and become zombies. If I try to get the gun, I may get killed. Although I may be able to use the gun to defend myself. Make a dash for the main exit. Might work. Or leave the lobby and try and exit through the rear exit. The main entrance is probably swarmed. I'm gonna try and leave through the rear exit. I wanna get home to my wife and live.
I managed to slip away without any infected noticing, and proceeded quickly towards the rear exit.
Okay.
I made my way through several corridors towards the back of the building. As I approached the rear entrance, I spotted a hefty padlock across the bolt, making it practically impossible to open without a key. I cursed my bad luck and tried to figure out my next move. The janitor would have had the key, but reaching his office would have required going back towards the lobby.
Charge down the door, search for a window to climb through, or go to the janitor's office to get the key. If I go back, I may die. If I charge down the door, I'll make a lot of noise, and it might be worthless in the end. Window might be the best option since I'm actually on the ground floor this time. So, window.
I realized that breaking the door down would be impossible, and that heading back would be too dangerous. So I set about searching for another exit.
Gosh, this explaining all the things I'm saying. Oh, by the way, there'll be a link for this game down below if you want to try it out and try some of the other options and see how it turns out. So, yeah.
I remembered that there was a small window in the male bathroom just a few doors down the corridor. I arrived at the bathroom door and pushed it open. Suddenly, I heard a bestial roar coming from further down the corridor. A dozen infected had spotted me and were now heading in my direction. I quickly entered the stall and spotted the window I was thinking of. However, to my dismay, it was much smaller than I had remembered. I thought that I would probably fit, but I knew it was going to be a very tricky maneuver.
Okay, so what are my options here? Go straight through the window, hide in the cubicle and hope that infected pass before trying the window, or flood the bathroom before trying the window. Okay, hiding in the cubicle is not gonna work, because they'll probably just bash down the door, every door, until they find me. So my other option... God, this is actually quite a tricky one. Straight through the window, he said it'd be tricky. Or flood the bathroom before... I don't know what flooding the bathroom would do. Okay, 50-50, take a chance. Flood the bathroom.
I grabbed a bundle of paper towels and began blocking the sinks. I turned on the taps and watched as water spilled all over the floor, creating a slick surface. Hearing the zombies approach, I immediately ran towards the window and began trying to squeeze through. The infected burst into the room and began to slip. However, this only seemed to buy me a few seconds, much less time than it took for me to actually flood the room. As I frantically tried to push through the window, one of them grabbed me and sunk his teeth into my leg. I managed to get free and escape into the street, but it was already too late. I was infected.
Okay, well I sort of knew that wouldn't work. I don't even know what he planned to do when he said flood the bathroom. I didn't know if he was just going to destroy something. So, I'll go with the other
A
option.
scream coming from down the hall broke.
Oh, I have to do this whole thing again? Okay, well I'll cut back when I'm redoing it. Well, when I'm back to the decision. See you in a sec, guys. Okay, we're back. Now, let's go straight through
Not
the
wanting
window.
to waste time, I set about trying to squeeze through the window. A few awkward movements and a lot of pain later, I managed to force my way into the street, escaping the infected with only a few seconds to spare.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought flooding the bathroom would be good. I was more curious than anything. Anyway.
I dropped from the window and landed on the pavement with a heavy thud. Looking up and down the quiet back street, I tried to decide what to do next. Eventually I came to the conclusion that my best bet was to head to a main road and try to steal a vehicle or catch a lift. I jogged down the quiet street for a few hundred feet before stopping to catch my breath. I looked up briefly and saw a little girl wandering aimlessly in the middle of the road.
Wait. Wandering aimlessly. Chances are she's infected. So I'm not gonna see if she's okay. And call me cruel because she might not be infected, but I just died in a bathroom for trying to flood it, so I'm gonna ignore her.
I realized that the girl was most likely infected, and therefore I decided to ignore her and continue down the street. I eventually arrived at the main road. As I suspected, the scene wasn't pretty. In every direction I could see people either trying to fight or flee from the numerous infected. An array of dismembered corpses already littered the streets. I suddenly felt nauseous, and within a few moments I was vomiting my breakfast all over the pavement. I wiped my mouth with my sleeve and looked up to see a bus driving down the street. The number was the same as the one I usually took home. There appeared to be a lot of people on board already, but I thought I might be able to squeeze in.
Okay, so I can try and flag down the bus, run into the middle of the road and force the bus to stop, or ignore the bus and continue down the street. Okay, if I run in the middle of the road, chances are it's gonna run me down in fear of the infected. Try and flag down the bus, it might not even stop. So, but if I don't take the bus, it'll probably take too long to get home. So this is another thing where I'm torn. If you need to take a bus to get home, then chances are it's too far to walk. So I'm gonna try and flag down the bus.
I held up my hand, and to my surprise, the bus screeched to a halt before opening its doors. I quickly jumped on board and squeezed through the crowd. I managed to grab a handle and steady myself as the bus started moving. I idly started looking at other people in the bus when I noticed blood dripping from an old man's arm. His eyes were glazed over and his skin was very pale. Before I had a chance to warn anyone, the man began to viciously attack everyone around him. The crowded bus quickly became a bloodbath, one that I couldn't escape from.
Okay, that was never misstep apparently. Well, I'll come back when I decide to walk down the street. Didn't take into account that there might be infected on the bus. I assumed they would have noticed if somebody was infected on the bus and it would be clear. So, yeah, I'll be back in a sec, guys. Okay, so we're gonna ignore the bus this time.
I realized that getting on the crowded bus probably wasn't a good idea. If someone on board were infected, then there would have been no escape.
Oh, thanks for telling me that now. Seriously, I assumed they would have known if somebody's bleeding, and unless they didn't hear the news report. Oh well. Yeah, this will be the end of this part, so thanks for watching, guys, and tune in for part 2 for probably yet more deaths and some more zombies, I guess. So see you then.